I was just wondering, in all the Cousin Walter stories
Yes.
and the oral sex stories in Chasing Amy, did those actually happen? Or did you just think of those on your own?
You're asking me if I ever tried to suck my own dick?
In a roundabout way, yeah.
Right. I really want to ask him a question, but I don't want to come off like a fag. Have I ever? Yeah, I've tried to suck my own dick. It's not much more than you could say beyond that. And that's when I knew that I could never be gay, because I just wouldn't know what to say to a dude after he busted a loaf in my mouth. And that's not a condemnation. I'm all for people being gay. Personally, for me, I just would not know what to say. It would be socially awkward for me. Just be like, oh, no. What do you want to do now? You know? Just don't have any pillow talk ready for that situation. But yeah, I tried when I was thinner. Now it's like I'd be sucking my own gut.
What about the oral sex stories, the chipped tooth, the scraped knees in the car?
Nah. I'm not like an exciting fuck. So most of my shit takes place safely on the confines of a mattress. So nothing ever got hurt. But I did get wounded once in a sexual situation. But it was long after the movie, so it was more like life imitating art, but it didn't have anything to do with oral. I had met my wife. She'd interviewed me for USA Today. She used to work for USA Today, and they told me there's journalists going to come and interview. It was actually because of Ben and Matt in a roundabout way. There was a period where when Good Will Hunting came out, you know, everyone fucking loved it, and then sooner or later, when it's heading toward the Oscars, other studios start trying to fucking torpedo it. There was a rumor going around that William Goldman, the screenwriter, the guy who had written Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Princess Bride, and his very famous script doctor as well, comes in, does rewrite work, that he had written most of Good Will Hunting. People were trying to take the credit away from Ben and Matt. And then there was a rumor that I had written some of Good Will Hunting as well, because I was an executive producer on the movie. So Miramax people said, can you do an interview? We can't have Ben and Matt go out there and be like, no, it's not true, because it sounds too defensive. If you go out there and say that, you know, you didn't write it and fucking William Goldman didn't write it, and as long as you've known about the script, Ben and Matt wrote it because it's true. I mean, I read it long before Miramax got involved, and it's always been their fucking script. So I said, yeah, all right. And they said, we're going to set you up with a USA Today journalist named Jennifer Schwalbach. Now, I've interviewed with a lot of journalists, and particularly at USA Today, and they're all like 40 to 50, usually guys. And the women I've met, they look kind of like my mother. You know, they're matronly. They're not, you know, most journalists, nobody fucking looks like Lois Lane. That's the one thing that I've noticed. I do a lot of interviews. Nobody comes in, and I'm never like, Lois, I come from a planet far, you know. Because they all kind of look like my mom. So I'm like, all right, yeah, Senator, I'll be at the hotel, because I was out in Los Angeles at the time. We were in pre-production on Dogma, but I was out in Los Angeles rehearsing with Chris Rock, because he was doing Lethal Weapon 19. The one with fucking Murtaugh and Riggs. And Riggs is crazy. So I'm out there rehearsing with Chris Rock, and I break to go off and do my interview, and I go to my hotel, and I wait for this chick to show up, and fucking shows up at the door, and it's the person who will become my wife. And it's this stunning young woman. And I was so fucking blown away, and I was just like, what? I thought somebody had sent a hooker to my room. And she didn't dress like a hooker, but I'm like, why would a beautiful girl be at my door? This must be a prank. But she was like, I'm here to interview you. And I was like, get out of here, you. And I couldn't, the whole 2 hours she was interviewing me, I couldn't fucking not talk about the fact that I was so blown away that somebody so young was working at USA Today. Because USA Today is the most widely read newspaper in the universe. It goes to every fucking country. And what you see in America is what you see in Germany, which is what you see in fucking France and Poland. And it's USA Today, no matter what they write, shows up everywhere in every edition of USA Today across the planet. So I was just like, that's fucked up. Like, I was about to start directing my fourth film, but I felt like a slacker, because here's this woman who's in her early or mid-20s, and she's working at USA Today. I felt like I hadn't accomplished anything. So I was like, can you get me a job at USA Today? Because then I will feel accomplished. But after the interview, I interviewed 2 hours, and then afterwards we just sat around bullshitting for 3 hours, and I just really kind of dug her, and we got along really well. But I didn't know if she'd like me, and I didn't even think that I liked her, because I'm not like that. I don't get around a pretty girl and just be like, I'm going to make the move. Like, I just have no self-confidence. I can't read signals or anything like that. So for all I knew, she was being nice to me because she had interviewed me and shit like that. And I also went in there thinking she was trying to get dirt on Ben and Matt and shit. So, I was kind of on my defensive. But then that went away, and we were just kind of chatting, blah, blah, blah. So before she left, she said, you got a web board? I said, yeah. She said, you post on it all the time, you answer questions on it? Because I'd said that in the interview. I said, yeah, all the time. She said, well, if I post on it, would you answer a question? I said, yeah, I would. Yeah, show up. I'll do it. So a couple weeks later, she put up a post. I responded to it on the board, and her email was attached to it. So I emailed her back, and we started kind of an email relationship. And then that went to a phone relationship, because I was in Pittsburgh, and she was out in Los Angeles. And so they told me that I had to go to the Spirit Awards, the indie Oscars, if you will, because Chasing Amy was nominated for 3 that year: Best Picture, Best Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor for Jason Lee. And I didn't want to go because we'd been nominated for Clerks a few years before and didn't win fucking anything. So I was like, there's no point. Plus, I'm in heavy pre-production. I don't want to go. And the Indie Spirit people said, you really, 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 really should show up. And I was like, ooh, that means I'm going to win an award. Fuck it, I'm going. So Jen had been covering the award circuit pretty heavily that year. She was covering Golden Globes, fucking the Blockbuster Movie Awards, the DGA, the WGA. She was going to be covering the Oscars. So I called her up, and I was like, I'm going out to Los Angeles. I'm going to go to the Spirit Awards. Are you covering it? I'm going to be there. And she said, no, that's the only award ceremony I'm not covering. I was like, oh, fuck. She said, why? I was like, because I don't really know anybody in Los Angeles, and we kind of get along. It would have been nice to see a friendly face there. And she said, well, I'll go if you want me to go. I said, would you? I mean, not like as a date, but would you just kind of show up? She said, yeah, we'll go, yeah. So she showed up, and then when we got there, I was pretty much backstage all day because I was presenting, and then once I finally got to sit down, I won for screenplay, and I had to go up and accept and then do the press line and shit like that. So by the end of the night, everyone cleared out, and finally it was just me and her. And we were driving in her Jeep, and I said, she said, what do you want to do? I said, I'd really like to get out of these fucking clothes. And she's like, get out. And I was like, not like, I was wearing a suit jacket, didn't want to wear a suit jacket, wanted to wear something nice like this instead. I said, I just need somewhere to change. She's like, well, my apartment is kind of scummy, and I didn't clean up. I said, it don't matter, I'm just going to put on some fucking clothes. So we went back to her place, and I got changed, and we went out to eat. Then we wound up going back to her place, just hanging out for hours. I was supposed to catch a plane at night. And then shit started to get smooth. So I can't remember how it happened. I just know there was no booze involved, which I was very proud of. Because sometimes I look at my wife and think, you'd have to be drunk to fuck me, right? But she wasn't. So I guess we were talking about, I have a tattoo. At that point, I had one tattoo. And she was like, let me see it. I said, no, I don't fucking show anybody my tattoo. She said, why? I said, because it's on my arm. She said, and? I was like, and I don't take my shirt off ever. And she said, well, ever? I said, no, I leave my shirt on in the shower. I never take my shirt off. And she's like, well, I'll give you something. I'll trade you. You show me your tattoo, I'll give you something. I said, well, like what? At this point, the devil angel show up. And the devil's like, head, ask for head. And the angel's like, play it cool, this is going well, don't fucking be a pig. Which I wouldn't be anyway. So I was just like, well, you know what, let me see your driver's license. And she said, no, I'm never going to show anybody my driver's license. I look so stupid on it. I said, why? She said, because my ears are just popping out. And I was just like, but I dig your ears, man. I'm a real big fan of your ears. And she was like, really? And I said, yeah, I dig it. They're like fucking Dumbo ears.